take a second, wait for a student to get back, and then we'll dive into a small recap and the next steps here. Zara, did those images come back yet?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Awesome.
Your name is here.
Oh yeah, of course. Let's see.
Navy.
You said maiden.
Navy.
Navy. That's damn. That's a good name, man. Damn. Navy. All right. Hopefully he comes back here in the next couple of minutes here. I'll just go ahead and get started. So what we did last class was we took a box, right? Or cube per se, right? We got it right in the center here. We have our three reference images, right? One on the front, one on the side, and one at the top or the bottom. The bottom may be easier to find for most creatures. All right, and then we placed them using our orthographic views. All right, we came up here, we went to View, Image Plane, Import Image. Some of us used this button right here, which is the same thing. And then we referenced in our images from our project folders. All right, we learned a little bit about project folders in the last project. We should have already a project folder set up for the whole thing. All right, let's see. If I go into Set Project, my desktop, aquatic model. Go inside here. I got all my project mini folders, right? But the three folders we mainly use is the images for our references, scenes for the project files, and source images, which will be for our textures and whatnot. And we should work out of the project folder every time, right? So every time we open up Maya, if it's on a different computer from when you originally made it, we may have to go up here to File, Set It, and that way our images come back through. All right, so if you transfer over to another computer, be sure to grab the whole project file and set it. All right, so after we got our images in here, we got our box in the center, then we started extruding, right? And this is called the blocking out process. We took our sweet time. We started getting the silhouette, basic figure, basic form of our creature. All right, so extrusions and also edge loops as needed, right? Making adjustments as we go. All right, so eventually, with enough adjustments, we'll have our blocked out figure, which is our base we'll use for sculpting. All right, so make sure this is mostly in the center here. All right, and then after that, it went through really quickly on how to cut it in half and mirror it. All right, and then Sterling, the project folder is up on the stream there. All right, so download it, extract everything, and let's open version number 2 there. All right.
Sorry, you said open the version number 2?
Yeah, in the project folder, and then set your folder to that project folder.
Okay. This is correct? Because I see it, I was just saying, I see the row of model number 1, so do I make model number 2?
No, open up version 2, the seal model, version 2. We'll work from there. All right, and then let's see. So we get the model here. We only did 1/2, so we do need to cut it in half, and then make the mirror. Before I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of all this extra data off to the side here. It's history, so come up here to Edit, Delete by Type, History. It'll simplify a lot of things for me, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and put it in the center of the grid here. It'll work a lot better with the mirroring. Alright, so first I'm just going to go ahead and center the pivot. So modify, center pivot. Let's see, it looks like it's a little off. So I won't use that. Instead, I'm going to go ahead and cut it in half. So come down here to my orthographic view. All right, make sure my half of the sill model is selected. Come up to my multi-cut tool. All right, I'm going to start in the empty space above it. Drag down, press and hold Shift so it snaps to straight up and down here. Get a direct cut. All right, and then everything that's not been modeled into the seal here off to my right in this instance, let's go ahead and delete that. And then again, a number of ways to do that. A number of ways to delete it is we can go ahead and select all the faces over here and delete it that way. If you end up with a couple of small faces, it may be easier to go to that new edge loop we made. Should be the line of symmetry. Select it by double clicking on one of the edges there. Get the whole edge loop. Press and hold Shift, press and hold right click. Come down here to detach components. All right, and then that way I can double click on the faces. And it's going to click all the faces of this one side. So what detach components do, what it does is it separates one mesh on one side of the edge loop from the other. Right, and that way I can just delete it from there.
Yeah, I guess so.
Mm-hmm.
Can I get some assistance?
You have the
Because I'm,
you extract it,
yeah, this is, click this and
you download the whole thing. Let's go back. Let's click the three dots.
yeah, it should come up as a Maya folder.
Part of it. And then once you get the project folder extracted, zipped. See that there? So it's a folder, it looks closed, something else is zipper on it.
Oh,
Is that it? That's the file?
this is the required Maya version.
Yeah, well, you can see we got the pink here, so we gotta extract it, so let's hit the back. Let's go back to downloads. So you have the zip folder there, okay, let's go ahead and right click on that zip folder. Extract all. Let's choose a destination, say on the desktop.
And then there will be an option to open it up through Maya with those images.
Well, let's open up my second one.
Maybe it's right there.
Okay, awesome. Then let's go to File, Set Project, bottom, and select that folder.
Oh, I was about to click set. You said unzip folder.
No, it should be unzipped.
Oh,
It's still there. Yeah. All right, then let's go to Open. It should take us to the Scenes folder inside that project folder. And then version 2. where images pop up because the images already open.
And you place the images on the Maya? Like you upload, you saved it somewhere and then you copied and pasted onto the grid?
Imported it. Yeah, it's in the other video.
Okay.
So we'll start from a little more advanced position here. So, all right. Let's see, where am I? All right, yeah. So we split the seal in half. All right. Go ahead and line this up with.
With the multi-cut tool?
Yeah. Well, you already got that in the seal there.
Horizontal seal.
All right. Well, let's see. I got that in place. Got some overlapping here, so I'm going to move the whole seal over before I snap it to the center here. Right about there. So I have quads, no overlapping or bending faces. Go ahead and place this at the origin point. Press and hold X. And slide it to the side. Snap it right on that bold center line there on the grid. All right, and it should be good to go for mirroring. Come back here to the object, come up here to mesh, mirror option box. All right, and just taking a look at my visual space here, down here, it looks like the empty space I want to fill in with the mirror is on the Z axis. So make sure I select Z. I'll go ahead and do world since it's snapped to the center point of the grid. Hit apply. Alright, it looks pretty good. If I do need to make some adjustments, I can always just squeeze it in. Alright, it's a bit too much. Got some weird clustering in the back here. I'll keep it like so. Go ahead and hit close. Alright, then I want to center it back up on the grid here. It's good to keep it centered. So I'm going to come back up here. Pivot's already off, so I'm going to come back up here to modify, center pivot. It should be directly in the center of the seal, and then I can snap that back to the center of my grid here. So press and hold X. Grab my Z, snap it to the center. Alright, and this is the starting point for this, the seal file you have, Sterling.
Okay. Because I just, I worked my way around that with the mirror options and then click Z to make a reflection on the other side to create another whole seal. Well, the same seal, like it's one seal, but to make that other half again.
I wouldn't worry about that. We already, it was already there, right? Once you start your project, we create one half of the creature, and then we mirror it over to create a whole seal.
Okay. But since it's already there, I shouldn't worry about that.
Right, right. All right, so I got my seal whole. Come up here, I'm going to go ahead and lighten up the model, delete by type, history, and get rid of all the extra information off to the side here. And then my next step is I can go ahead and smooth it down. So mesh menu, the second section at the bottom, hit smooth. All right, so 2 looks okay. I'm just going to add a couple more. I'll hit 4 and get more topology to work with. Looks pretty good. I'm going to go with 4. Okay, super smooth. All right, I'm going to go ahead up here. And again, we can go ahead and delete by type, history. Let's save you some problems with RAM limitations. All right, and then the next steps, we can go to our sculpting tool tab at the top here. All right, we can start using these brushes to sculpt into it. So there's about 3 brushes that are really useful. Everything else is really particular and for specific features. But let's see what we want to use mainly. We've got our move tool, which is the 4th one over. All right. Mine start off really big, so to reshape this, I'm press and hold B, and drag to the left to make it a little smaller. All right, it's a little quicker. You can also double click on the, that doesn't pop up. Double click on this icon and bring up your tool settings. You can also make adjustments to the size here.
I accidentally got rid of all the skin on. Press move.
The skin is missing?
Yes. It's gone. Press move.
Correct.
Press 3, 4.
Oh,
And then press smooth all. 3 and 4, then 1. And then I kept pressing undo, but I didn't undo any of the smoothness options. And so I took back the other half of my chart back. And now it's going back to editing it. I'm like, okay, so clearly undo doesn't do anything. And I say, all right, redo, and it just does my selections. It just actually.
Yeah, this it's a certain type of preview. So that's wireframe mode. So let's hit 5. Here.
Okay.
5 division.
So 5, yeah, is the regular shaded mode. 4 is wireframe. 3 is smooth. But let's work with 1 and 5. So.
Okay.
So the oddity was not
So smooth. So let's hit 1. Let's quick do the cube. And then mesh and smooth. Let's go back to option mode real quick. Yep, the second section of the bottom.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And then for that guy, let's type in 4.
Okay.
And so,
Ah, very good. Okay.
and we can use that.
This actually fits.
Hey, I just messed up my gun. So I don't know if I'm good. Tail bone.
All right, cool. So that smooth mesh. All right, we got our sculpture shelf, tool shelf up. All right, so the tool settings, we can make further adjustments. Quick ways, just press and hold B, slide back and forth. Bigger or smaller. The line in your brush there, when you resize the brush, that's the strength. Right, mine is off the charts right now, so I'm gonna come over here to strength, knock that down a little bit. A little bit more. A little bit more. There we go. A little more reasonable. All right, and so with the let's see, so 3 brushes. We got a move tool. It's not doing much of anything. Strength is a little too low. There we go. So we got the move tool here. Oh, also it probably helps to go ahead and set up the symmetry before we start digging into this. So in order to get symmetry here, very simple. I come up here to the top bar. It says symmetry off. I'm going to go ahead and select that into World Z here. All right, and so World Z is based on the grid. So since my model is right on the center here, it works just fine. If it's not working, if World Z isn't working, you can either realign the model here with symmetry off first, or you can go to Object X, that may or may not work. Excuse me, Object Z. Either one of those should come up with some pretty good results.
I'm right over here in the scroll thing. Can you go, the name of the tool, can you put your cursor right above it?
Name of the tool?
Yeah.
The sculpting tool?
Okay. It looks different in my version, so like,
Yeah, the fourth one?
what?
The fourth one over?
Yeah.
Oh.
I want to be sure. Yeah, just want to be sure. This? Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess. Also, do I want to be on 3D or do I want to be on mesh softness? No, sorry, should I want to be on smooth or do I want to be on 3D?
Smooth. Smooth. So we actually have
One, smooth.
Yeah. Let's bump that up a couple of versions. So let's go with 3. Here. Yeah, that's fine.
Alright.
Which move? Yeah, it looks different, but the fourth one should be the loose brush.
I'm looking for that sculpting button myself. I'm on the sculpting tab, but I'm
Yeah,
trying to
the
see
fourth
what-
one. The fourth one over. Yeah.
And this should be just 5 divisions for the smoothness. Oh, 4.
Did you put handle 5? Not myself out.
This is 4.
Yeah, and then let's set the symmetry. So every time you make adjustments to one side,
Symmetry on.
let's do objects.
Because it's at a Z axis.
Yeah, it's on the Z according to the object. Right, so it's going to do its best to split the object in half and then mirror any effects that you do to one side.
So, wait, how did you, sorry, I'm sorry, that's how did you do the sculpt panel?
The scope panel?
Sorry, right next to the
Yeah, tool settings. So that'll be double clicking on the scope icon that pops up down here.
On the scope icon?
Yeah, so once you tap on one of these scope tools,
Oh, okay.
it pops up here. You can double click that and your tool settings will pop up.
Okay, I see.
All right, so I got my move tool. It's usually the first one to go to when we start sculpting. You can move things into place. Again, working with symmetry here.
Well,
All right, and it usually helps to work with broad strokes first, and then after you get all the broad strokes out the way, you can start doing minute strokes here.
okay. When I look at scope tool, all it does is move, like on the VW and put me down in the center pivot.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay, something's wrong. So I went to right click scope tool. Now it's just grabbing it. Reguide tool?
So is it the right? Do you see a black circle?
No, I never saw that.
Yeah. So that means it's massive. Yeah. So press and hold B, slide to the left, screen left, and it should bring it down.
Son of a- okay.
Yeah. Awesome.
Like to bring the radius, to increase the radius on the pointer, like the circle.
Yeah. Increase or decrease it. Press and hold B, slide right to increase, left to decrease.
Like the smoothness,
Oh,
not smoothness. Whatever.
Well, let's see. I think it's the
Bend? I don't know.
selection tool thing. Yeah. When you want to select vertexes, press and hold tab, and then let's see B. No, that doesn't.
It's also like that's the one.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I don't think it's working. Because I'm holding B, trying to make that circle visible over the plane.
Yeah. So you just keep sliding to the or all the way to the. Well,
Oh, B and then left click.
yeah. Press and hold B, and then left click and drag.
I see something problem. It looks like the part is already just showing how far it's out.
It's a circle. You see this moving. So that's your size. No, it's the one way. It's
Left.
to the left. So
Oh,
let's
okay.
go ahead and let's use that for now. So we'll give it one variable. Let's say 5. Ish. And yeah, so unit 5 is massive.
And what about the string?
And then, yeah, so it's the exact same one. 45 works pretty well. No, and the size is 0.5. I got 0.5 on there. Yeah, let's put 0.5 for the size. 0.5.
stretching parts out. You can stretch them.
Yeah, yeah. So the move tool, it just make it look more like a seal.
And B is what we call it, the stretch. B while holding the left button.
Yeah, it resizes the brush
Oh,
size.
okay.
All right. And then the more you play with it, you can tell if you don't have a really big brush, which is fine, it starts to get a little lumpy in areas. All right. So you press and hold shift, and that'll bring up your smooth brush. All right, you can just run that over, and it's going to do its best to smooth out any lumpy areas. You can tell you're in smooth because your icon is going to turn a light blue here. All right. And then let's see. So that's one very useful tool. Is your move tool. I think they call it grab tool in here. The second one is your standard sculpt tool. Let's see. They don't really name them like they do in ZBrush here, so experiment a little bit. Here you go. All right. So your first brush, very first icon here, that's your sculpting tool, right? And that's how you add add on details in general. Very, very vague details. So I'm going to knock the strength down. Size down. Go ahead and get some of this underneath bone structure here. Alright, I'm just trying to add general details still, right? It looks a little lumpy. This is when I can press and hold shift and smooth it out some.
And this is 0.2 on the screen for stretching it out.
Yeah, for sculpting, so they got 0.2 on here. So you just want to kind of build it up and then smooth it in. Remember, we should be working in some sort of symmetry, world Z or object Z. So I have to do it to both sides, right? And then hope it looks similar. Whatever?
I'm saying the seal is that out of
Oh, yeah. Oh. All right, and your third brush, what you want to have to come up here too often to click on is the smooth brush itself. So let's see, I believe it's the second one here. Yeah, smooth tool. All right, the only benefit of clicking on it instead of just pressing and holding shift is that you can come down here to your tool settings and hit flood. And it'll just smooth everything all over at once, depending on the strength here. And also, this would be the place to adjust the strength. All right, cool. Any questions so far?
I want the midsection of my printer to become rounder. That's something that should be back in modeling, right? Not in this.
You can. It's easier to do it in modeling. But if you want it rounder, what you can do is go to your smooth tool, bump up the strength some, start flooding it, see if that's rounding out all the places you're looking for. If that doesn't work, then you can hit the particular spots with the brush. Okay, then, so those are your three major brushes: your move, your sculpt, and your smooth. Now they got other particular brushes here. You can use them as you see fit. So there's let's see. So you get your smooth topology, which it kind of helps straighten things out, just in case they get a little pinched and you end up with some overlapping parts. It's a certain kind of smooth. I won't go into that. You do probably will have to play with a lot of these to get to understand the effect and how it can contribute to your model here. Um, let's see, if you have some hard surfaces, this flatten tool is very useful. So like for crabs and whatnot, let's see, I'll bump it up. So you need to make something a little more flat, like a hard surface. You can use your flatten tool. Let's see, I got inflate tool. It's pretty good for adding blubber, that sort of thing. Yeah, so with the hammerhead shark, inflate tool would help out a lot too.
It's the inflate tool.
Oh, geez, too much. One more time?
You're on the inflate tool now?
Yeah, yeah. So it's very low strength, very big brush, and come through here and just add in as much blubber as I need. Use the move tool to get my silhouette back. And smooth it out. Alright, and then there's also I believe this is the carving tool. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So the one with the knife, I believe is the fourth one from the end, fifth one from the end. Usually done late game, so after you got all the other details, this is kind of like the final touches here. You can use your carve tool. You might have to go ahead and divide it a couple more times. Keep in mind that each division, each one of these pieces are a face, so it's going to add a lot for the computer to compute. Right? It's going to eat up the RAM. Tumble view is going to be a little harder. So try to keep things as efficient as possible. So you can use that to start drawing lines here. All right, cut out some certain body parts. And then I wouldn't worry about sculpting eyes or, let's see, what else do we have? We got eyes, there's antenna.
Gills.
I would sculpt gills. I'll sculpt gills into there. Claws, that sort of thing. For that, we can just create a new model. Go back to your object mode, grab a sphere, place it right in there. And sometimes it helps to go ahead and get that in before you start sculpting out the eye sockets and whatnot. So we can place one here. Go back to my seal mesh, back to my cutting tool here, or knife tool, as Maya calls it. And I can just sort of cut out the eye socket. Also, be sure to save often. Right? Save early, save often. Alright, and then if you need to mirror on your features, you add it on features, claws, antenna, eyes. Very simple procedure. We won't use mirroring since this is a whole object. For this, we can go up here to modify, freeze transformations. It'll zero out all our transformations over here in the channel box. We'll go ahead and name it here. So this is his right eye. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate it, group it, right, and in that group, go ahead and hit, it's scale. Scale Z, -1, and I'll flip it over for me.
We can save it under the name you open it up as Model 2.
Version 3.
Okay.
So every time you save it up a version. The heck is that? Oh, and then one other feature. So, I'm not sure if this works with smoothing, but as far as like with your sculpt tool, if you click and drag it, it brings it out, right? But if you hit Control, doesn't hold Control, your brush turns white, and it does the inverse. It does the opposite. What the brush would do. So, sculpting tool brings it out. The smooth tool theoretically should make it more bumpier, exaggerate details. I'm not sure if it moves so much on. It works so much on the move tool, grab tool. Flatten and unflattens more, etc.
I'm on the way. I'm on the right one. The right, because I'm on that one. That's how I made the eye sockets. And that's how I'm trying to make the mouthpiece and the rest of the whole thing.
The knife tool. But that's the last one.
Wait, knife tool?
Knife tool, yeah. So it's the fifth one from the right for me.
Some nice stuff helped out with sculpting the head and the tail some. But I'm trying to, is there a way I can go back or undo on this smoothness stuff? Because I want to, it's still not round enough. The center's still thin. So I want to go back to modeling and fix that before I put in the gills.
No, yeah. Inflate tool.
What's it?
Yeah, inflate tool. So, third one. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, too strong.
Oh,
That's the tool.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
I'm trying to just trying to get the height together.
and the whole model is centered in the Z.
Yeah, it's should be. If not, then at least I'll see if I can fix that now.
No, some, yeah. Cool. Just like flip it over.
Okay.
No. Yeah, go for it. See what you get. Fur is going to be interesting. That on there. Simulated. We'll go with the sort of cartoon approach where you just sort of have the accents, curves and top of the head. Well, I would add more muscle feature though. Yeah. Definitely more on the way. That's good. So, I think
Wait, instead of just mirroring it, you say what to do with the eyes?
so duplicate, group it.
And then negative scales. Okay, so duplicate group. Negative scales.
Yeah.
So duplicate group. No?
So you gotta duplicate it, right?
Okay.
Okay, let's group it. Control G.
Oh.
Cool. So it creates a, just right at the center there, then you go to scale Z, channel box.
Scale Z.
Just punch in everything.
Oh. Thank you.
Cool. All right. So for Wednesday, let's go ahead and let's have the sculpting done. All right, the sculpting done. Let's have all the claws, the eyes, antennas, that sort of thing in place. And then we'll go back into UV mapping and texturing. I'll give this guy some color. All right, and after that, we're going to run it back. We're going to choose a different creature. We're going to shoot for either quadrupeds or... Yeah, we'll save bird for last. We'll go quadruped next. All right, any questions?
Well, that is consistent over here. So what I was doing earlier with the cut tool, well, not cut tool, but this tool right here, how I made the strokes and the creases and then the sockets, because I'm trying to complete his face and it's not going in. And I made sure the sides, the circle is there, set 5. I don't see the circle either.
Okay. Play around with the 2C circle. So usually it's because it's too big. Right?
Because which is too big?
You still, oh yeah, you got something out there. Let's tap on the left tool again. There we go. You can see you got the black wireframe on there. Just want to switch it over to the dashboard. See it?
Yeah. This is kind of light.
It's that reaching those upper limits. Keep it simple. You don't need some.
I forgot the keys are locked. How do I unlock them real quick?
They're locked.
Yeah, you know, when I'm trying to change the viewpoint of them, it says it's locked.
Oh, you mean like the layout?
Yeah. I was trying to like move the camera in them. No, old move camera.
the flat.
How do I since they're running off?
Yeah, you're not supposed to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a flat view from just one axis.
Okay. And so is there now a way to go back to making it look like, you know, normal? Because for example, it was in vertex mode, it was like scroll anything. Is there a way to make it like back to normal-ish for modeling purposes? No? Okay. All right, fair enough.
I mean, you can go back to a couple of versions, you know. Yeah, the modeling shouldn't take that long.
Okay.
Focus here, focus here. Yeah, that's what versions are for. All right. All right, if no other questions, I'll see you guys Wednesday.
So as far as adding the other cosmetics and the other details, that just involves all of the tools we use today?
Yeah, you're gonna have to play around with
Like
it.
the tool and
Yeah, so the main ones: grab tool, sculpt tool, and your smooth tool.
The graph tool again?
The grab tool is the fourth one from the left here.
Okay.
Yeah. So those should get the job done, but if you want to punch in, you can go for hyperrealism with the topology you got. You got your knife tool, you got your inflate, and a couple other ones that should help you out.
This has been recorded, right?
This is what?
Being recorded, right?
Yeah. The link is already up.
Yeah, that was just suddenly, like, I mean, we just fixed it, like, when you were over here, but now it's just suddenly either lag